In 1957, a company famous for farm tractors did something nobody had ever done before. They bolted a digger to the back, a loader to the front, and built the whole thing as one machine, straight from the factory. That single decision started a revolution. Over the next 7 decades, Case would build more than 500,000 backhoes and rewrite how the world trenches, lifts, and builds. These are the 10 that changed everything. Number 1. The Case 320. Before 1957, if you wanted a machine that could dig a trench and load the spoil, you were basically building it yourself. Contractors would take a farm tractor, hang an aftermarket loader on the front, and bolt some jury-rigged backhoe attachment on the back, and then pray the hydraulics in the frame could take it. Performance was compromised, and breakdowns were common. Case changed that with the Model 320. It's widely credited as the world's first factory-integrated tractor-loader backhoe. One cohesive machine, designed and built at the plant for construction work, with the loader and the hoe matched to the same hydraulics and the same frame. Here's the part most people don't know. Case didn't invent the backhoe out of thin air. In 1957, Case acquired the American Tractor Corporation out of Churubusco, Indiana, a company that had already developed a strong backhoe design for its own crawler line. Case married that ATC backhoe to a Case 300 series tractor with a loader, and the 320 was born. The specs were serious for the era. A 4-cylinder gasoline engine putting out around 31 kilowatts, roughly 42 horsepower, mated to a 4-speed transmission with a forward and reverse shuttle. Digging depth was listed at about 12.5 feet or 3.81 meters. And crucially, that swiveling operator's seat let one person spin from loader work to hoe work without climbing off the machine. The impact was immediate. Suddenly, a single operator on a single machine could trench, lift, and backfill. One contractor, one machine, one purchase. The 320 didn't just sell, it redefined what a job site crew could look like. And nearly every backhoe on Earth today still follows the blueprint Case laid down in 1957. That's why it's number 1 on our list. Not the most powerful, not the most refined, but the original, the machine that gave the entire industry its shape. Number 2. The Case 420. Just 2 years after the 320 launched, Case answered the next big question in construction. How do you make these machines run longer, pull harder, and cost less to feed? The answer was diesel. By 1959, the new Case Model 420 offered a diesel engine, a major step for a young product line that had launched on gasoline power. It might sound like a small footnote today, when practically every backhoe on the planet burns diesel, but in 1959, this was a genuine turning point. Diesel engines brought more low-end torque, which is exactly what a digging machine craves. They were more fuel efficient under heavy load, and they were built to survive the long, brutal duty cycles of construction work, hour after hour of digging, curling, and lifting. For a contractor watching every dollar of operating cost, a diesel backhoe wasn't a luxury, it was the future. The 420 proved that Case wasn't a one-hit wonder. The company wasn't just going to sell the 320 and coast, it was going to iterate fast and push the platform forward year after year, and that relentless improvement became the Case signature. Diesel power on the 420 set the template that every serious backhoe would eventually follow. By moving to diesel this early, Case future-proofed the entire concept. The loader backhoe wasn't a novelty anymore. It was becoming standard equipment, the kind of machine a serious outfit simply couldn't operate without, and the fuel it burned would be diesel for generations to come. The 320 invented the category. The 420 made it durable, economical, and ready for the big leagues. It's a bridge model, but bridges are how you get from a clever idea to an industry standard. Number 3. The Case 530. Now we get to a name that would define Case backhoes for the next 30-plus years, Construction King. The Case 530. Construction King was built on the Case 530 utility tractor platform, and it became the first widely produced Case Construction King backhoe. The machine that truly established the product line. Where the 320 and 420 were the pioneers, the 530 CK was the model that started showing up on ordinary job sites in serious numbers. Under the hood, buyers had a choice. There was the Case G 188D, a 188 cubic inch diesel, or a 159 cubic inch gasoline engine paired with a 4-speed mechanical shuttle transmission running through a single dry clutch. Braking was handled by external contracting band brakes on each rear axle, old school technology that predated the sealed disc brakes that would come later. But here's the historical weight of the 530. It launched the naming and the lineage. That CK, Construction King, would carry all the way through the 480 family and the legendary 580 family for decades. When you see a 580 CCK on a data plate, that CK traces directly back to this era. The 530 also carried the Extend-A-Hoe option, Case's extendable dipper stick, which could reach out an extra couple of feet on demand. Standard backhoe reach was around 14 feet. With the Extend-A-Hoe extended, you were pushing past 15.5. That reach-on-demand idea would become one of Case's signature calling cards. The 530 Construction King is the model where Case stopped experimenting and started building an empire. It gave the line its identity, its name, and its momentum. Every Construction King that came after, and there were a lot of them, owes its bloodline to this machine. Number 4. The Case 580 CK. If there's one number that means backhoe to people all over the world, it's 580. And it all begins here with the Case 580 Construction King, produced from 1966. This is arguably the most recognizable backhoe designation ever sold. And the first-generation 580 CK earned its place in history by introducing a feature that changed how these machines were operated: the power shuttle. Let me explain why that mattered. A backhoe spends its whole life shifting between forward and reverse. Dig, back up, dump, roll forward, repeat, hundreds of times a day. On the earlier machines, you did that with a mechanical shuttle and a dry clutch, which meant a lot of clutch work and a lot of wear. The 580 CK offered a 4-speed power shuttle, a torque converter with hydraulic clutch packs, so you could change direction under load smoothly without riding a clutch pedal into an early grave. For an operator making thousands of directional changes in a shift, that was a revelation. Faster cycles, less fatigue, less driveline wear. It made the machine quicker and easier to run, and it made the operator more productive without any extra effort. The 580 CK ran from 1966 through 1971, offered with Case's own 4-cylinder engines, including the G188D diesel, and it planted the flag for a model line that's still in production in spirit today. Around this same period, in 1967, Case also rolled out its first extendable boom on the line, giving operators dramatically more reach without repositioning the whole machine. The 580 CK is where the badge became iconic. Everything from here on out is a chapter in the 580 story, and it's a story that's still being written more than half a century later. Number 5. The Case 580B. If the 580 CK made the badge famous, the Case 580B is the model that put it on job sites everywhere. Introduced in 1971 as the successor to the original Construction King 580, the 580B brought more refinement. And it's a machine that's still working, still being restored, and still hunted for parts today. The 580B kept the proven Construction King architecture, the same fundamental layout, the shuttle transmission concept, the loader and hoe balance that Case had spent nearly 15 years perfecting. But it sanded off the rough edges. It was more comfortable, more capable, and more polished than what came before, without abandoning the tough, serviceable bones that contractors trusted. And that trust is the whole point. By the early 1970s, the loader backhoe wasn't a bold new idea anymore. It was essential equipment on utility crews, municipal jobs, plumbing and septic work, road building, and site prep. The 580B arrived at exactly the moment the market was ready to buy these machines by the tens of thousands. Owners today will tell you the 580B has its quirks. The drum brakes are a known weak point, and hydraulic leaks around the cylinders come with the territory on a 50-year-old machine. But they'll also tell you these things are nearly unkillable. Parts are still available. The design is straightforward. A mechanically minded owner can keep one running almost indefinitely. That's the real legacy of the 580B, durability plus availability at scale. It's not the flashiest machine on this list, but it might be one of the most important, because it's the model that made Case backhoe a household phrase in the trades. It proved the platform could go mainstream, and it delivered. When you picture a classic yellow case backhoe from the 70s parked on a job site, odds are good you're picturing a 580B. Number 6. The Case 580C. By the mid-1970s, the construction industry was booming and expectations were rising. Operators wanted more refined hydraulics, more comfort, and more reliable power. Case answered with the 580C Construction King. The 580C came equipped with a robust Case 2 07 cubic inch naturally aspirated diesel, an engine that earned a reputation for longevity and efficiency, exactly the traits a hardworking contractor needs. Fuel delivery was handled by a proven Rusa Master or Stanodyne rotary injection pump, the kind of dependable, rebuildable component that made these machines a field mechanic's friend. Buyers could choose between a mechanical shuttle transmission with a standard clutch and pressure plate, or the smoother power shuttle setup. The 580C also brought a more refined hydraulic system to the table, giving operators better control and smoother action across both the loader and the backhoe. Here's an interesting bit of history. The 580C overlapped with the tail end of 580B production. For a period, Case actually ran both models simultaneously as the market transitioned, a sign of just how strong demand was for these machines during the construction expansion of that era. The 580C represents the Construction King hitting its stride as a mature, trusted, refined product. The wild experimentation of the early years was over. This was a proven formula being made steadily better. Smoother hydraulics, a durable engine, dependable fuel systems, and the kind of build quality that keeps machines like this working decades later. It's a machine favored by construction and landscaping professionals to this day, precisely because it nails the fundamentals. The 580C is Case saying, we know exactly what this machine needs to be, and we're going to build it right. And for countless small contractors, that reliability was worth its weight in gold. Number 7. The Case 580K. Now, we jump forward to one of the most beloved workhorses Case ever built, the Case 580K, which came to market in 1987 and ran through 1994. The 580K is a genuine milestone, and here's why. It introduced the Cummins 4390 engine to the line, a 4-cylinder, 3.9-liter direct injection diesel rated at roughly 65 horsepower. Putting a Cummins in the small frame Construction King brought a new level of proven heavy-duty diesel power to the platform. Alongside it, the turbocharged 580 Super K used the 4T390 turbo version of that same engine for operators who needed more grunt. The 580K also brought wet disc multiplate brakes into the small frame Case backhoe line for the first time, a major durability upgrade over the older brake designs, giving operators sealed, oil-cooled braking that could take the abuse of constant stop-and-go work. And now, for the trivia that stumps almost everybody. Why does Case jump from the 580E straight to the 580K? What happened to F, G, and H? The answer is that Case had already used those letters on internationally produced 580 machines. The 580F and 580G were built in France, and the 580H in Brazil. Those were the overseas market models. So when it came time to name the next domestic machine, the next available letter was K. Mystery solved. The 580K became a favorite of small contractors. Durable, straightforward to service, and even today, parts are widely available. It's the machine that carried the Construction King into the modern era, blending old-school toughness with a serious brand-name engine and updated braking. Ask any veteran operator about a good used backhoe to buy and fix up, and the 580K comes up again and again. That's the mark of a machine that got the fundamentals right and built a reputation that outlasted its production run by decades. Number 8. The Case 580 Super L. By the mid-1990s, construction was changing. Operators were spending long days in the seat, and the industry was waking up to a simple truth. A comfortable, well-designed operator is a more productive operator. The Case 580 Super L answered that call. The Super L was the turbocharged version of the L generation Construction King small frame backhoe. It carried the Cummins 4T390 turbocharged 4-cylinder diesel forward from the Super K, rated at around 86 horsepower net, paired with a completely redesigned L generation cab. Its naturally aspirated sibling, the 580L, ran alongside it. That redesigned cab and operator station is the headline here. This is the generation where Case seriously modernized the operator's environment. Better visibility, better comfort, better controls. The old stark steel-frame chair days were long gone. Case was now competing on how the machine felt to run for 8 or 10 hours straight, not just on how deep it could dig. For the gearheads, there's a well-known detail in the Super L's history. A Series 1 versus Series 2 split at a specific serial number. Series 2 introduced an optional power shift transmission, a revised hydraulic tank configuration, and updated filter kits. If you own one, knowing which series you've got matters when you order parts. A small reminder that these machines are documented right down to the serial break. The Super L represents Case getting serious about the human side of the machine. Raw digging power was table stakes by now. The battleground had shifted to comfort, control, and refinement. The things that let a skilled operator turn a good machine into great production numbers day after day. It set the stage for the electronic, operator-focused machines that were about to arrive. The Super L is where the classic Case backhoe grew up into a modern piece of equipment. Number 9. The Case 580 Super M. The Case 580 Super M arrived in 2001 and pushed the construction king into the age of electronic control and serious turbocharged muscle. It ran through 2008 and evolved across 3 engine series along the way. Power came from the turbocharged 445T/M engine family, progressing from the base turbo to a Tier 2 certified version, and finally to an FPT/Iveco 4.5-liter Tier 3 engine in its last year. All of it delivering roughly 99 horsepower net, with substantially more low-end torque than the naturally aspirated 580M. That extra grunt down low is exactly what you want when you're breaking through hard, compacted ground. But the real story of the M generation is control. This is the era that brought Case's Pro Control System, an anti-rebound feature that helps the operator raise, set, dig, and dump with far more precision, cutting the annoying bounce that wastes time and spills loads. Case built its reputation on backhoe control, and the M-Series machines, including the well-known M-Series 2, pushed that advantage hard, delivering smoother, faster, more accurate cycles. Case also kept refining the operator's world. The M generation cab was engineered to be quieter and more comfortable, marketed at the time as one of the quietest in the industry. Combine a turbocharged engine, precise electronic-era controls, and a genuinely comfortable cab, and you've got a machine that let operators work faster and finish cleaner with less fatigue. The Super M is where the Case backhoe becomes a precision instrument as much as a brute force digger. Anybody can move dirt. The Super M was built to move it exactly where you want it. Exactly when you want it, cycle after cycle after cycle. It's the direct predecessor to the machine you'll still find on dealer lots today. And it laid the technological groundwork for everything the current generation does. Number 10. The Case 580 Super N. And that brings us to the machine carrying the legacy right now. The Case 580 Super N, in production from 2008 and still going strong today. This is the current generation construction king, and it's absolutely loaded. It's powered by a Tier 4 final certified FPT Fiat powertrain, engine rated at 97 horsepower, using selective catalytic reduction to meet the strictest emission standards without a diesel particulate filter to clog up or regenerate. That means clean compliance with no regeneration downtime and no extra fuel burn. A big deal for productivity. The numbers are muscular. Around 14,452 pounds of backhoe bucket breakout force and an optional power lift feature that delivers an industry-leading 4,000-pound lifting capacity. There's a power boost button that unleashes a surge of extra hydraulic digging force with no RPM loss for fighting through the hard stuff. And the optional power drive 6-speed transmission with automatic drive engagement gives you better acceleration, more gradability, better fuel economy, and faster travel between jobs. It carries forward everything Case learned over 50 years. The Pro Control anti-rebound system for precise loads, Eco mode for fuel savings, Comfort Steer for faster truck loading, and the proven Extend-A-Hoe for reach on demand. Every N-Series backhoe even comes standard with SiteWatch telematics, so you can monitor machine hours and performance remotely, turning a digging machine into a connected, data-generating business asset. There's also a bigger brother worth naming, the 580 Super N Wide Track, a 110 horsepower, roughly 102-inch wide beast for the heaviest work. But the standard Super N is the everyday flagship. The machine that proves the concept Case invented in 1957 is more relevant than ever. From that first factory-integrated 320 to this telematics-connected Tier 4 final Super N, the through line is unmistakable. One machine, one operator, doing more. Case has now built well over 500,000 backhoes, a staggering testament to a design idea that was right from the very beginning. That's the story of Case. That's the story of the backhoe, and it's still being written. If you learned something today, hit that like button, subscribe for more heavy equipment history, and drop a comment. Which Case backhoe have you run? Let's hear it.